Now, if a dietary supplement were to make a claim like supports thyroid balance, right here in FTC's latest guidance, animal and in vitro studies may provide useful supporting background information, but they aren't sufficient to substantiate health-related claims. And when it states in vitro, what this is referring to is test tube studies or studies done in a petri dish. I am probably oversimplifying that. Now, if you can't use animal or in vitro studies, well, how about anecdotal evidence or even consumer studies? Well, according to FTC, even if consumer experience is genuine, anecdotal evidence about the individual experiences of consumers, including surveys of consumer experiences, are never sufficient to substantiate claims about the effects of a health product. How about using public health recommendations? Can we use them to back up our product claims? That's a strong lean towards no, where FTC states advertisers shouldn't rely on public health recommendations because they aren't equivalent to a finding that there is a causal link between the recommended course of action and the health benefit. Marketers should instead evaluate the strength of the scientific evidence underlying those recommendations and the relevance of that evidence to the marketed product and advertising claims. Essentially, FTC is saying go into the data and findings of which the public health recommendations relied on. So it begs the question, what kind of studies can you rely on? Well, we're going to dive into that and some other interesting examples of what FTC considers as deceptive marketing. If this is your first time here, my name is Brian and it's great to meet you. I've been in the supplement and food space since 2005, specializing in quality assurance and regulatory affairs, helping companies large and small grow their business and navigate the regulatory world of FDA and FTC. And speaking of FTC, they just released their Health Products Compliance Guide, and even though this guide was just released in 2023, the title page was probably designed in 1995. Now, cover aside, let's dive into some of the interesting points that I think may catch your attention. Now, this is a claim that I've seen a lot from many supplements where they say formula XYZ uses clinically tested ingredients. Now, alone, the words may seem quite truthful, right? As in the formula is literally using ingredients that were studied in a trial. It's not making any promises that it actually had a benefit or that it was clinically proven, right? The term clinically studied is fairly innocent. However, FTC says clinically tested ingredients implies not just that the ingredient was tested, but also that the test results prove a benefit, and it also conveys that the product itself will provide those benefits. The big lesson, there's the express claim as in the words used, but there's also the implied claim as in how does the consumer perceive the claim? And that last part, that is a huge guiding principle for FTC. They don't care so much about what you intended to say on your marketing. Instead, they care about what the consumer's understanding of the claim is going to be. Here's another example, this time for a weight loss supplement. Think of a brochure with product images showing doctors in white lab coats looking through microscopes and images of molecular structures, and there's a stack of medical journals in the background. These images give an impression of scientific legitimacy and likely conveys an implied claim that the product has been clinically proven to be effective for weight loss. FTC is expecting you to have clinical substantiation of your products to back up your claim. Speaking of clinical studies, according to the FTC, randomized clinical human trials are the most reliable form of evidence and is generally the type of substantiation that experts would require for health product claims. And although FTC doesn't specify the number of trials one needs to have, a second study done by an independent researcher will obviously help support the claim. That being said, FTC also states that the quality of the study is more important than the quantity of the studies. Well, what makes one study higher in quality than another. There are 5 key factors to look for. Number 1 is the control group. Number 2 is randomization. Number 3 is double blinding. Number 4, statistically significant results. And number 5, clinically meaningful results. Now let's look into each one really quickly. Having a control group and randomization helps to ensure that the placebo effect isn't what's creating the good results, and it also helps remove any unintended biases. When it comes to double blinding, this is where both the subjects in the study and the researchers administering the treatment don't know what's being given to the subject. So for example, the nurse that's handing out the tablet wouldn't know if the subjects are getting the treatment tablet or a sugar pill. Statistically significant results means that the results were calculated according to accepted and sound statistical methods and found to have a true difference between the control group and the treatment group. Clinically meaningful results means that not only are the results statistically significant, but that consumers are likely to experience the benefit as well. For example, let's say a study found a statistical significant decrease in inflammation markers after taking a joint supplement, but even with a decrease in inflammation markers, the consumer is not likely to feel less joint pain, and as a result, it's not considered clinically meaningful in the eyes of FTC. Now, I know that hunting for the right contract manufacturer can be tricky, which is why I created a PDF to help you find the right contract manufacturer for your brand. Check the link in the description down below to get it today. Now let's look at this example. An ad for a herbal supplement claims that the product boosts the immune system to help maintain a healthy nose and throat during the winter season. Note here that the words themselves do not explicitly state that the product prevents a cold or treats cold symptoms. Now let's keep going. The ad features the product name Cold Away and includes images of people sneezing and coughing. Now, according to the FTC, putting this all together, the ad likely conveys that the product helps prevent colds. Okay, fine, that makes sense. But even if you remove the product name and the images, the references to the nose and throat during the winter season likely conveys a cold prevention claim. It's all about the net impression here, meaning FTC is looking at all the elements of an ad, from the text to the product name to the charts, graphs, and other images, all in unison, which is why when it comes to label reviews, it's much more than just looking at the supplement facts table or nutrition facts table from a contract manufacturer. It's obviously much more than that, and when we're reviewing a client's label, or if we were to take it one step further, if we were developing a product or a formula for a client, we're trying to engineer this product through the eyes and perspective of FTC and FDA. Now, many brands believe that by being vague in their claims, it can actually help protect them. And using that logic, maybe if we use words like may or helps, as in may helps lower cholesterol, the thinking here is that the word may softens the claim in light of limited scientific support. Well, FTC would say that the word may isn't enough context for a consumer to understand the extent of scientific evidence available. So vagueness, while to the brand owner might mean that there's room to interpret the words the way you want it, it also gives the consumer and FTC to interpret it the way they want it. FTC will go one step further and say that even words like promising, initial, or pilot isn't enough either. So for example, if you were to state an initial study was conducted on our product to support lowered stress, well, according to FTC, this can still be perceived by the consumer as if the evidence is strong, whereas we both know that the term initial in actuality means that more studies are needed. There's the straightforward answer, and then there's the complicated answer. The straightforward answer is that it's the law, and the guidance and examples from FTC is intended to help you comply with these laws. The more complicated answer, however, is that there are a lot of shady players that are in the market that aren't in compliance, and they may also be your competitor. And if you're playing this tit for tat kind of game, for your claims where you want one up them on the claims, then sure, FTC may be too limiting for you, but also if you are playing this tit for tat kind of game, I would also argue that it's probably the wrong type of game to play in this industry, especially if you're looking for long-term success. Which is why when we work with our clients, as part of our strategy, we factor in who the competitors are, what they're saying, what they're claiming, and thinking about, is there a better way to do this? Is there a different way to say what they're saying without saying what they're saying and still be within the confines of FTC and FDA requirements, but also to factor in litigation vulnerability. And to that point, if you haven't yet, check out this video where the Liver King got sued and we dive into the lessons from that specific filing. Guys, thanks so much for watching. Until next time, cheers.